Hello, in this video we're going to be going through my statistics knowledge test 1. So this work pack is available to download on my website, so I'll link that all in the description box, but otherwise let's all just get started. So this first question here, it says the table shows the ages of members at a sports club. We need to draw a frequency polygon. So frequency polygons, what we do the midpoint against the frequencies. So firstly, we're going to label our axes. So the age is going from 0 to 50. So if we do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that should be enough to cover it. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I'm going to label that one 0. And the frequency, the maximum is 12 and the minimum is 4. So this needs to go up to 12. So we can say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That works. So we can say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. We also need to label our axes because we always need to do that. So we have the age in years and we also have the frequency. To draw a frequency polygon, you simply do the midpoint against the frequency. So for the first one, the midpoint is 5 and we're going to go along 5 and up to 4. So that's going to be here. The next one, we're going to go along to 15 and up to 8. So that's going to be here. The next one, we're going to go along to 25 and up to 12. So that's going to be up the top here. The next one, we're going to go along to 35 and up to 10. So that's going to be here. The next one, we're going to go along 45 and then up to 6. So that's going to be here. And now we simply connect them together. We don't join the first and the last point up. We don't pretend to carry them on. We don't do this. We don't do this. The answer, they're simply floating in the middle like this. So that is the answer to this question. This question here is scatter graph. So we have the scatter graph showing the relationship between the number of hours spent revising and test scores in a maths exam. So it says describe the relationship between revision time and test score. So you can see by the graph it's going up. So as the time spent revising increases, the test score percentage also increases. So I'm going to put as the time spent revising increases, the test score percentage increases. It says circle the outliers. The outlier is the point that doesn't really fit in with any of the other information. So this person spent 1 hour revising and managed to get 90%. So good for them, but that's an outlier. So that's good. And then the next one says a student spends 3 hours revising. We need to estimate their test score. So if we go along to 3 hours, we're going to go up. Now, at this point, we don't really know where to stop because there's no points. And also it wouldn't, even if there was a point, we wouldn't stop there anyway. So what we're going to do is the line of best fit. We need to mark on the line of best fit. If we don't draw the line of best fit, we're not going to get 2 marks for this question. So we draw the line of best fit here, and now we can see where the lines intersect. So it's going to be around this point here. So it's going to be around, if we say that's 50, about 58%. So I'm going to say 58% as my answer to this question. This next question is stem and leaf diagram. So it says the stem and leaf diagram shows the test scores of group A. So this is group A here. And then for group B, it's just summarised that the median is 59 and the interquartile range is 12. We need to compare the distributions of the two groups. So when we're comparing distributions, we compare the medians and we compare the interquartile ranges. So the first thing we need to do is work out the median of A. The median is in the middle. So if there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, there's 17 students. The middle one is going to be the 9th student. And the 9th student, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's going to be 58. So the median score of the group A is 58. We can find the lower quartile by finding the middle of the data behind the median. So the data behind the median are these numbers here. So the middle one, because there's 3, 6, 7, 8, there's 8 numbers. The median one is going to be between the 4th and the 5th one. So it's going to be between 52 and 52. Luckily, it's the same number. So the lower quartile is just 52. And then the upper quartile, so the upper quartile is going to be the median of the numbers after the median. So we have another 8 numbers. So it's going to be between the 4th and the 5th one. So it's going to be the number between 64 and 66. So it's going to be 65. So the upper quartile for this is going to be 65. And therefore the interquartile range, the difference between the lower and the upper quartile, is going to be 65 minus 52, which is 13. So now we can compare the data. We can see that group B has a slightly higher median. So their scores were slightly higher on average. And we can say that group B also have a lower interquartile range. So not only was their score higher on average, but they were also more consistent. A smaller interquartile range highlights greater consistency. So I'm going to put group B did better on average because they had a higher median and they were also more consistent due to the lower interquartile range. So that's the answer to this question. This next question here, it says the pie charts show the favourite sports of students in two schools, so we have school A and school B. James says the same number of students like football in both schools because football sectors are the same size. So is James correct? We must give reason. So what he's basically saying is because this is 180 and this is 180, there must have been the same number of people in both schools who liked football. James is wrong because the total number of people in each school might be different. So 180 degrees is 50% of the school, because 180 is half of 360. But if this school had 40 people, it's a small school, but just pretend, and this school had 20 people, well, half of 20 is 10 and half of 40 is 20. So the numbers are different. So James is not correct because the total number of people in each school might not be the same. This question here, we're doing averages from group frequency tables. So it says the estimated mean of some students is 58 kilograms. We need to find the value of x. So to find the mean from a grouped frequency table, we do the midpoints times the frequencies, add them all up, add the frequencies up, divide the two numbers, and then that's our answer. So if we kind of go along and do that, we can work out the midpoints for each of these. So the first one's 45, then we have 55, then we have 65, then we have 75, and then we're going to do the midpoints times the frequencies for each of these. So we have 45 times 8. So the first one is 360. Then we have 55 times 15. So that's going to be 825. Then we have 65 times x, which is just 65x. And then we have 75 times 3, which is 225. So usually we would add up all of these. So if I do that, I've got 360 plus 825 plus 225, which is 1410 plus 65x. I'm just going to put plus 65x here. I'm going to add up the frequencies because I don't know what this is either. So I do 8 plus 15, which is 23, plus 3, which is 26, plus x, which I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to put 26 plus x. So the mean is going to be the total here. So 1410 plus 65x over the total frequency, which is 26 plus x. And we're told that's equal to 58. So if I times both sides by 26 plus x, I get 1410 plus 65x equals 58 bracket 26 plus x. So now if I times the brackets, I do 58 times 26, which is 1508 plus 58x, and that's equal to 1410 plus 65x. Now if I minus 58 from 65, I get 7x, and if I minus 1410 from 1508, I end up with 98. So 7x equals 98, so therefore x is equal to 14. So that's the answer to this question. It says, why is the calculated mean of 58 kilograms only an estimate? That's because we've used the midpoint to represent each class. Now, it's saying that 8 people are between 40 and 50, but suppose those 8 people all had a mass of 50 kilograms, then it wouldn't be accurate to say that the mass is 45 for each of those people. So we've got a bit of an underestimate. So the reason why it's only an estimate is because we have assumed each person has a mass, which is the midpoint. So I'm going to put we have used midpoint. This next question here, we have a data set containing 5 numbers. The median's 14, the lower quartile is 9, and the upper quartile is 20. We need to figure out one possible data set. So we've got 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The median's 14, so 14 is the one in the middle. The lower quartile is 9. Now in this case, because there's 5 numbers, the lower quartile is going to be this one and the upper quartile is going to be this one. So one possible data set, we just have to have 2 numbers. One has to be less than 9 and one has to be greater than 20. So we could have 1 and 21, that works. It doesn't actually matter what these 2 numbers are, as long as this one is less than 9 and this one is greater than 20. This next question here, we have a group of students containing 15 boys and 10 girls. The mean height of the whole group is 156 and the mean height of the boys is 160. We need to find the mean height of the girls. So if the mean height of the whole group is 156, we can work out the total height of everyone by doing 156 times however many people are in the group. So the number of people in the group is 25, so we can do 156 times 25. So 156 times 25 is 3,900. So that's the combined heights of everyone in the group. It then says the mean height of the boys is 160. So we can do 160 and times that by just the 15 boys to work out the total height of the 15 boys. So 160 times 15, that's going to give me 2,400 centimetres. So I can work out the total height of the girls by subtracting them. So I have 1,500 centimetres, and that's equal to the total height of the girls. Now, because I know there are 10 girls, I now simply do 1,500 divided by 10 to get 150, and that is the average or the mean height of each girl. So the answer to this question is 150 centimetres. This question here, we have the masses of some parcels and we need to draw a histogram to represent this information. So the key thing about histogram is we do the mass along the bottom, and then we're going to do the frequency density along the y-axis. So to work out the frequency density, I do the frequency divided by the class width. So I'm going to do that for each of the columns. So the frequency density for each one. So for the first one, I'm going to do the frequency, so that's 12, divided by the class width, so that's how wide the class is. So from 0 to 5, it's going to be 5. So 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. Then for the next one, the frequency is 30, and I'm going to divide that by the class width between 5 and 15, that's going to be 10. So 30 divided by 10, that's 3. The next one, we're going to do the frequency, so 26 divided by, again, this class is 10 wide, so that's going to be 2.6. So this next one here, we have frequency is 40, and the class width between 25 and 50, that's actually 25. So 40 divided by 25, that's going to give me 1.6. And then the last one, we have a frequency of 16, and the class width is 20, because between 50 and 70 there's 20. So 16 divided by 20, that's going to be 0.8. So I'm going to do the frequency density along the y-axis. So I'm going to write frequency density here. And then along the x-axis, I'm going to write mass, and it's mkg. So the mass needs to go from 0 to 70. So I can put 0 here. If I kind of just count them, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So I can go up in tens. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and 70, and the frequency density, it needs to go up to 2.6. So I can say 1, 2, that's not going to work, is it? So we can say 0.51, 1.52, 2.53. So we can go up in 0.5s. So now we can say the first one, what we do is we plot the class, which is 0 to 5, and we go up to 2.4 for the frequency density. So to 5, we go up to 2.4, so that's here, and then 5 is here, so that's down over here. The next one, 5 to 15, so 15 is going to be here, and for this one we're going to go up to 3, so we stop over here. The next one we're going to go from 15 to 25, so we're going to go 15 to 25, 25's over here, and we're going to go up to 1.6, which is here, and then we're going to go across. The next one, 25 to 50, so we're going to go up to, sorry, the previous one, we should have gone up to 2.6, so 2.6 is up here. The next one, we're going to go 25 to 50, so we're going to go up to 1.6 for this one. And then for the last one, 50 to 70, we're going to go up to 0.8. So that is the histogram, and that is the answer to this question. This next question here, we have the table shows the time of customers spent shopping in a supermarket. So the cumulative frequency is given in the table. We need to draw the cumulative frequency graph. So luckily we've actually got the cumulative frequency. We don't actually have to work out what the cumulative frequency is like we often have to do for these questions. So we simply do the end point. So we need to do the end points for cumulative frequency graphs. So the end point is 10, and then we're going to go up to 8 for the first one. So that's here. The next one, the end point is 20, so we're going to go up to 22, which is here. The next one, 30, we're going to go up to 41, which is around here. The next one is 40, so we're going to go up to 57, which is here. The next one is 50, so we're going to go up to 68, so that is here. And then the next one is 70, so we're going to go up to 75, which is here. And then we're just going to join them all up. So you can do it as a curve, you can also do it as a dot to dot. It doesn't actually matter for this. Both of them are mathematically correct. And it should give you like an S shape, so that's good if it does. So work out the estimate for the number of students who spent less than 24 minutes in the supermarket. So for the cumulative frequency graph, we're going to go along to 24, and we're going to go across, and that's going to tell us how many people spent less than 24 minutes in the supermarket. So 24 is here, so we're going to go up, and then we're going to go across, and we get 28. So there's 28 people who spent 24 minutes or less. If we wanted to work out the number of people who spent more than 24 minutes, we would simply subtract that from 80. This next question here is box plot. So we need to draw a box plot to show the information in the table. So for a box plot, we need the minimum, the maximum, the lower quartile, the upper quartile, and the median. So we're going to plot all of those. So the minimum is 4.5. So that is going to be, so 5 is here. So 4.5 is going to be around here. The lower quartile is 7.2. So 7.2, we're going up in 0.4s on this scale. So 7.2 is here. So I'm going to plot 7.2 over here. The median is 8.8. So I'm going to do 8.8. So that's here. The interquartile range is 4.6. So we don't plot the interquartile range, but we can work out the upper quartile now by doing 7.2 plus 4.6. So that's going to be 11.8. So 11.8 is going to be here. Actually, it's going to be more like 11, that's 11.6. So it's going to be more like here, so halfway between those. So we are going up in 0.4s each time, you can see. And then the maximum is 14.3. So 14.3 is going to be around here. So now we connect the quartiles, so the upper, the lower, and the median into a box, and then we just add on the endpoints like so. So that is the box plot. The next one, it says, Jake says half of the pumpkins are heavier than 8.8 kilograms. Is Jake correct? Now, 8.8 kilograms is actually our median. So 8.8 kilograms is the median. So Jake is correct. The median represents 50%. So half are going to be less than 8.8 and half are going to be more than 88. So Jake is correct, yes, because 8.8 is the median. So that was the last question from the statistics knowledge test. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that useful. Feel free to highlight any of the topics that you need to work on and go and check out those resources that I have on my revision hub. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another video. Bye.